Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Josh Thomas here from TheBitBlock. Welcome to our good and bad video review for Splatoon on the Wii U. This is something we're going to try that's a little bit different. I'm going to ramble on in a totally unscripted fashion about what I personally think is good with Splatoon and what I think is bad with Splatoon. So, let's try out something new here. This game is addictive, like beyond belief. I cannot tell you how many times I was playing the Turf Wars online and I would be like, okay, well, one more game after this. And then it was like, well, okay, one more again. Well, okay, I will play until my eyeballs melt and my fingers break off. And that happened. That literally happened. The point is this game is addictive, like hugely addictive. This game is the most addictive Nintendo game I've played since like a Smash Brothers or Mario Kart experience. That's saying a lot. Oh, baby, the music in this game is super cool. It's very different. It's got like this otherworldly feel to it. There's one particular track that I think has like a whale crying in the distance. I don't know, maybe that's just something wrong with me. I'm hearing whales crying in music. I don't know if it's a real thing, but it's in this game and it's glorious and it puts me in a fantastic mood. There's a lot of variety to the music here as well. There's stuff that's like really heavy metal, and then there's stuff that's just sort of, like I said, very, very outer spacey, mixed with rock, mixed with punk. There's just something really right with the music in this game, and I think you have to hear it for yourself, but when you do, you'll agree it's fantastic. Also, the sound effects in Splatoon are fantastic. Just like the little squishy, squatchy noises the squids make and the pattering through the ink. And one of the things I really love to do is you turn into the squid form, and then you leap off from a high distance into a puddle of ink, and that little noise that it makes is weirdly satisfying to me. I think a lot of people will agree. Anyways, the music, the audio is fantastic in this game. I also really like the way everybody speaks in gibberish, like Animal Crossing or like a skip game. That is pretty much the way every single character in every single game should talk. Another really fantastic thing about Splatoon are the characters. I mean, the Inklings, of course, are really cool. They look great. I love the fact that you can customize them, making really cool, spiffy Inklings. It's frankly something that I wish I could do for a living. But not only are the Inklings cool, and I love the whole Squid thing, but a lot of the extra characters are pretty fantastic as well. All the shop owners have a really unique, awesome design to them. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Krusty Sean. I mean, look at that. He's got little tiny shoes on his extra arms, or maybe those are his nipples. Oh my god, he's got nipple shoes. I've never realized this until now. I wish I could have nipple shoes. I also really like the enemies in this game. The little weird octopus-styled enemies. I want a plushie and an action figure and a sleeping bag of everything in this game. The characters are just really fantastic. So yeah, this is something that was actually kind of surprising to me. The local two-player Battle Dojo mode is pretty darn cool as well. Like, it's very simple, and sure, it's probably not as fun as playing online, which is really the main meat of this game, but yeah, the Battle Dojo is pretty cool in and of itself. It's a two-player local mode where you pop balloons for points, but then when the opponent kills you, defeats you, you get negative points. So it really kind of keeps things fresh. The last minute, you get extra points for the balloons, and it's just, I don't know, it's really cool, and you can play in all the levels. It was surprisingly addictive for me, and it's definitely something that I'm going to play again and again with friends locally. And you know what? Speaking of modes that are surprisingly clever and addictive, I really love the single-player stuff in this game. Essentially, it's, obviously one player, and you get to battle through these levels where you've got a whole bunch of enemies, but they introduce tons of gameplay mechanics to you. You can squid on top of sponges, or you can propel little fans to move platforms. There are just like seemingly an endless amount of cool little clever ideas in every single mission here. So if you think this game doesn't have something for a solo player, for just one person to play, I'd say you better think again, because this is really fun and clever. Oh my gosh, how did I almost forget this? My favorite enemies, I think they're my favorite enemies, but then again, I would probably say that about all of them, are these little stamp-like octopus creatures. Look at their little faces. They run after you, and they jump after you, and miss you, and then they leave a little stamp, inky stamp thing of their face on the ground. Oh, they're fantastic. So I'm not generally somebody who likes Miiverse. In fact, I think Miiverse is kind of a pointless expense on Nintendo's behalf. But I gotta say, Splatoon has some pretty cool Miiverse functionality. Essentially, the top posts on Miiverse will be transformed into graffiti in the game's levels. So it's really nice. It's kind of endearing to just be playing a turf battle or something and then see some really good artwork on the wall as graffiti. And it's done really well. It's not like just directly ported into the game. They make it look like graffiti as well. So it's cool. I mean, good Miiverse functionality. Who would have thunk it? Now, if you think that Splatoon is really simple and it's just about shooting your ink everywhere and enjoying getting sticky in your own goo, think again, even though it is actually about that, and that's fantastic. It is the type of game that anybody can pick up and play, but there's a lot of depth here. Like, you can really get strategical with the weapons that you pick, and also, one of the things that I was actually really surprised by is the fashion that you decide to wear. How you customize the look of your amiibo actually changes the way you play. So depending on the gear you're wearing, it will improve your statistics. Maybe it will increase your respawn time. Maybe you will get bonuses that allow you to have more damage when you shoot people. Maybe you'll get bonuses that allow your ink to not wear down as quickly. There's just a whole bunch of stuff here, and they didn't even need to do this, but the fact that they did makes the game so much more complicated in a good way. And like I said, you can play this and just have fun, like trying to dominate the most turf and shoot your ink everywhere, but then you can also get in depth with it. And I think that's the test of a really good game. It's something that anybody can play, but the more hardcore players will find plenty of things to do and plenty of strategy to come up with. Okay, so one of the bad things here is there's really not a lot of stages to play in right when the game launches. So when you first pick it up and play, there are only 5 stages to play in. And you're gonna love that at first, but after a couple weeks, I find that you do reach that point where you're kind of realizing only 5 stages is a little bit ridiculous. I'm surprised this game doesn't have like 8 to 10 stages at launch, especially considering we've already seen one stage that is completely done, but it's not available yet. So one of the bad things that I found with Splatoon is that I am to that point where I'm realizing there really needs to be more stages to play in. So yeah, this is kind of a complaint, but it's really more of a personal complaint. I don't really like the charger weapons. Essentially, they're like sniper rifles, but in a game that isn't a traditional first-person shooter that relies on kills, having the charger really isn't that beneficial. It doesn't ink as much territory as any of the other weapons. It just shoots a straight line that you get to squid yourself through, but that's about it. You can kill enemies pretty good with it, but you can kill enemies with, like, all the weapons. I really think the charger needs to have some sort of an upgrade. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. And it is fun to use, but it seems like every time I pick the charger, I think, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do good with the charger this time. And then by the end of the level, by the end of the match, I'm like, well, that was awful. I'm never picking that weapon again. So, yeah, Charger is a little bit of a weird weapon in the sense that it needs to cover more territory or something needs to happen with that. So every time you boot up Splatoon, you are greeted with the Squid news, and Callie and Marie are going to tell you which of the stages are currently playable in the ranked battles and the turf battles. And this is super cute. It's great. They have little conversations about the stages, and there's great animations and everything, but yeah, it kind of gets old really, really fast. And the fact that every time you boot up Splatoon, you have to sit through this is frankly just kind of painful. And I imagine most people are going to be hammering away at that A button. And unfortunately, there's no skip button, so you have to keep sitting through this. In fact, if you play Splatoon at like, I don't know, 1:59 and it changes to 2 p.m., every 4 hours, this is going to be interrupting your gameplay so that they can tell you what the current new stages are available. And I gotta tell you, it's kind of lame, it's kind of annoying, and I really hope that they allow you to just skip these in the future. I like Callie and Marie, but I don't need to see them every time I play the game. So, here's one, maybe a little bit random, but Splatoon has some really ugly shoe fashion. Yeah, the shoes you buy in this game, for the most part, are pretty hideous. And you know what? I consider myself a sneaker fashionista. I've got over 100 pairs of shoes, so you know what? I think I know what I'm talking about here. I mean, look at this. These shoes could not be more ugly. Ugh! I mean, how can an Inkling be so fashionable on the top half of their body and then wear stuff like this on the lower half? It doesn't make any sense to me. I will say, though, I really do like these shiny gold sneakers. These are really cool. In fact, all the shoes in this style are pretty cool, but there are so many that are... I mean, look at these! Who would wear those? Ah, God. They really need some shoe DLC for Splatoon. I can't. Oh, God. All right, well, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my idiotic ramblings of what I think is good and bad in Splatoon. Be sure to check out the game yourself. I think it's pretty obvious that I highly, highly recommend it. It is fantastic. I really think Splatoon is one of the best Nintendo games as of like the last 10 years or so. I really do believe this game is an instant classic. This is the summer game of 2015. Oh my goodness, I can't say enough good things about it. Check it out yourself, and of course, keep it locked right here to the BitBlock for a lot more coverage on Splatoon. Hey, thanks for watching this video from the BitBlock. If you want to stay up to date with some of the most original, crazy Nintendo coverage on the internet, be sure to click right here to subscribe.